Okay, this is the notes page for your first unit in geometry. We're going to deal with points, lines, and planes and such. I'm going to fill in the blanks here for the point so that you can copy them onto your worksheet, and then I'll explain them. Okay, so a point is simply a location. It has no shape or size. It actually is an undefined term, which seems kind of odd since we have lots of points, but you have to recognize that it does not have a shape or a size. It's not considered a circle or anything like that. And we always represent it with a capital letter. We name a point using a capital letter, and those kinds of nuances are very important in geometry so that you know which way to identify certain parts. Completing the information on lines, we see that a line is made up of points. So we have to have any 2 points will form a line. So as long as you have 2 points, you can find a line. It's the line that joins those 2 points. But you also have to recognize a line also is non-defined. It has no thickness and no width. We identify it with some thickness and width only so that we can visualize it. You'll also want to note that a line can be represented various different ways. So we can identify a line with a script letter, as in this case, which is the letter N, a script letter N, or we can identify it by the 2 points that are on that line. So this is also line XY, or we can represent it with just XY with the line indication over the 2 letters, the 2 points. You'll notice that this example they're collinear. X and Y are collinear because there's only 2 points and they both lie on that line. If I were to draw another point right here and call it A, that would also be collinear. But if I drew a point down here and called it Z, that point is non-collinear. Okay, so when you have more than 2 points, you can identify them as being collinear or non-collinear based on whether or not they create a straight line. So here are the answers for the plane. So a plane is just a flat surface made up of points. Any 3 points can make up a plane. It has to be more than 2 because 2 just creates a line. So 3 would identify a plane as long as they are non-collinear points. And the plane stretches on infinitely in all directions. Okay, so there are different ways of representing a plane. So you can use the script capital letter. So plane P would be an example of how to identify this plane. Or you could also call it plane JKL. Okay, and we usually put the letters in alphabetical order. You'll notice that if I add a point here and call it A, that is that point does not necessarily lie on that plane. Now, you can't really see that here because a plane stretches in all directions. This A would have to be sitting above this flat surface or below the flat surface, and it's hard to represent that on a 2-dimensional sheet like we have here. So it's very possible that this plane could have been extended down here to include A, but what you want to note is that it takes at least 3 points to create a plane. It all makes a flat surface, and in order to have non-coplanar points, there has to be at least 4 and 1 not lying in that same plane. And it'll be easier, actually, if you look at the diagram just below, you can see what 2 planes actually look like, where one looks like it's coming out of the paper and one is level with the paper. Okay, so here we're going to finish up with the intersecting lines and planes. And you'll notice that the 2 lines here in this example intersect at point P. So line S and line R have that common point that is the intersecting point. So it's a common point that both lines have. As far as the planes are concerned, a plane has a common line or multiple points, And in this case, line K is the intersection of these two planes. So they intersect at line K.